Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, we have our guests come in and we welcome them. I have been saying that these are what I believe are modern day sages, and they visit and they come and they sit down and spend time with us. And as a sage would do, we have examples of that when he sat down and talked, there were people coming around listening to him. And within that group of people, you have those outsiders, but you have disciples. And it is our hope that as you begin to hear us have our conversation, that you would become a disciple and that you would take the lesson learned and change the world. So, welcome to Threads of Enlightenment. I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you, Ken. I'm so excited to be here. So, my name is Garin Dem, and I'm originally from Toronto and now live in Los Angeles. But I have studied human behavior, I studied finances, I also studied human resources, and
Hmm.
I worked a lot within the business world and corporate America, as they say.
Hmm.
And I did pretty much learn that it really comes from within, and leadership is quite important, and that leadership comes from within. And I do help business owners as well as entrepreneurs and executives become better leaders by getting 1% better every day, stopping those limiting beliefs, and mastering their mindset.
That is awesome. I love the entireness of what you do. It is beautiful.
Thank
Um, the fact that you are a student of humans, and I love the fact that you are, because everyone needs to be, because it is how we become, as you guys hear me use the term, enlightened. So now, this is the fun stuff. I love this. So I want to go back now before you created all of this wonderful stuff, before you even started studying human behavior. Some
you. Yes.
people get, are they know that they are a little different from when they're younger in high school. Some don't have a clue. I was of the latter. I didn't even know what I wanted to do when I was in college. So, um, what tell us about yourself as to looking back, some of those breadcrumbs that started happening in your life that kind of made you begin to think about things a little differently.
Well, I was always an observer. I always liked observing people.
Hmm.
Um, always noticed the small nuances about people and the way they were interacting and the way they were going about things. Um, and I come from a very conservative culture, a very conservative family, and I didn't necessarily feel that way very much. And from that observation, I wanted to study like why everybody was just so different. I couldn't understand why I thought differently or I
Hmm.
behaved differently or why people around me did. And I didn't know that was such a thing to study human behavior. I was just curious about it. Like what was what was that all about? What was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So.
then I then continued from there in high school. I was just talking to counselors or talking to other people, and that is when psychology came about, and me going into psychology.
So psychology was piqued your interest in high school.
It did.
Wow. Okay. So you were interested in the aspect of the mind and the mindset from that time in your life.
From back then, yes, absolutely. And I wanted to know, like, because when you don't know much about psychology, the only thing that you know about is Freud, right? And what did
Hmm.
Freud say and what did Freud do? And you don't really know much. And I was like, really, is that all it is? But then when I learned more about it, and this was okay, I'm going to date myself, but this was like kind of pre-internet. You can't just Google something right
Yeah.
away to be like, really, is that what I'm looking for? But it was mostly talking to teachers and counselors and the people around me. And absolutely, university was on the agenda.
Hmm.
But what to do was the question.
Yeah, yeah.
And psychology was it. And I went straight there to psychology, and it was very interesting. And it was interesting to see um, nature versus nurture and how people behave and
Hmm.
the environment that they're in and how everybody has a different, and it's all about mindset isn't everything. There is action behind all of it as well.
Yeah.
But how mindset does play a part. Now, we didn't use that word back then.
Hmm.
It's a fairly newer term, mindset, but it is pretty much how you perceive things and the action that you take.
Excellent. So here you are in college.
Yes.
How did this mindset training began to affect you personally?
Well, I started becoming um, a better. I think was becoming slightly a better person and a better person because I started understanding the way people behave. That it
Hmm.
wasn't about me. I was when I was younger. Everything was I was offended by everything. It's like, how would you? Why would you be that way? How would can you speak to me that way? How would you? Why would you act that way around me? And it was very much, I was on the defense and I was like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
tough girl kind of thing, not understanding that it had nothing to do with me. And it was just people reacting to their own journey.
Yeah, yeah. So, as
And
someone gaining all of that insight and watching
yes.
this must be a lot of fun. To me, it's a lot of fun learning that aspect and actually engaging with people and observing the behavior, the process by which they come to a conclusion, a decision. All of those things became fascinating to me. So, how did how did that affect your relationship with people?
Well, it helped me understand them better.
Hmm.
It helped me understand that it was either their environment and that was their decision making, their family, their upbringing, their culture, whatever it may be, would help them with that decision making.
Hmm.
um, Instead of just and then now especially when it comes to the internet, it's society that's helping a lot of people make decisions.
Yeah.
um, but it is and that evolution is fairly interesting as well. But it helped me understand a lot better that okay, this is the way that person was raised, or
Hmm.
this is what that's all they know because that's the education that they received, or
Yeah.
that's the culture that they are in, and that's their norm.
Wow.
So it's
This.
very helpful to understand that and interact with people that way,
Yeah.
and just be like, okay, they're just another person. They're amazing and they have this unique genius, but they come from something different than I did.
Hmm. So here you are, and this is wonderful. I love the fact that you started so young in the arena of the mind and understanding the process of the mind and the looking at an individual from that space. So as you began to um, migrate from college and moving on in your life, did you at any time had to deal with any kind of and I hate this term. I have to find a better word for it. Demons, as they say, things that thought patterns that you had to learn how to overcome as you began to become a student and seeing these things and realizing within yourself, wait a minute, I have a few things that I need to figure out and deal with. What were some of those and how did you deal with
Oh, absolutely. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. So
them?
it I had to look introspective
Yeah.
as much as I was looking at everybody else and seeing their journey and seeing their patterns. I had to look introspectively to say like, why am I behaving a certain way,
Hmm.
and why am I behaving a certain way with people? Like, why do I have these prejudices against whatever it may be?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not perfect in any sort of way, and nobody is, right? We're
Mm.
all just in our journey. We all learn and grow every day. So it was very much that, and I still look introspectively and learn every day, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
um, it was very much of me looking introspectively and having an understanding, and having an understanding that not everybody works the way I do, not everybody behaves the way I do, not
Mhm.
everybody um, can read my mind, right, and understand what I need or want, and all of that. So I had to very much understand that I had to bring the energy into the room
Yes, yes.
for myself, right,
Yeah.
and then
Hmm.
and go about my relationships and my journey that way. Absolutely, I had to look. Yeah.
So, what are some of those patterns that you identified? Um, some of those skeletons in the closet that they say. Was it an attitude? Did you have to overcome certain fear? What were those habits, those thought
Yeah.
patterns that became so monstrous in your life that they crippled the way you perceived life, yourself, and people around you, the world in general. How did some of those things? What were they, and how did you learn? Because you're already a student of it. How did you start to
Right.
apply it? Because a lot of people learn it, but a lot of people don't apply it. So,
Right.
how did you make that transition as you recognize some of those? What were those? Um, and how did you start to, okay, this is what I noticed about myself. Let me start the work.
Yes. So a few of those things would be a lot of negative self-talk and self-conscious,
Hmm.
being self-conscious, having negative self-talk, um, striving for perfection.
Hmm.
It was a lot of that, thinking that I had to be this amazing thing, and that's why people would take me seriously.
Hmm.
Especially growing up like a Middle Eastern woman, I have a different name,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
all of those things. So with that striving for perfection, I still was very self conscious. I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I had a lot of negative self talk towards me.
yeah,
And I was, you know, thought I was very cool. And so, I would go out partying and do all of those negative things to harm
yeah.
myself.
Mhm.
And so then I came to the realization that I shouldn't do those things. And I did look introspectively
Yeah.
and realized that I had to learn and grow and do all those things. But like you said, we all learn, but we have to actually apply
Hmm.
the stuff that we have learned.
Yeah.
So a part of the things that I did was journaling really helped to get
Hmm.
all of my thoughts out there, away from me,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like all those negative self talk, all those limiting beliefs, I had to just let it out. So journaling absolutely did help to get it
Hmm.
out there. Another thing, working out, let it be walking or hiking. I did take a lot of workout classes. I had done kickboxing and stuff, and it's just that energy needs to
Yeah. Yeah.
somehow come out of you.
Yeah.
So that did help as well. A lot of other things that did help. Back then, they used to be called self help, right?
Hmm.
But now it's a better term of personal development.
Yeah.
So I did do a lot within personal development. It was a lot of books back then, but now there's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of stuff that you can watch and you can listen to help with personal development. A
Yes.
lot of affirmations as well, daily affirmations absolutely help, and the understanding that it is progress and not perfection.
Yes.
That
That
nobody
is
is
beautiful.
perfect, and I don't think we'll ever achieve perfection. But it is daily progress, and it is getting 1% better every day.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is that you're just better than you were the day before.
Hmm.
It's one step at a time.
Perfection. I don't know how it would what it would look like because I think while we're here, the adventure is the unknown, and that what gets the lifeblood, I guess, if you want to say that. For me, it gives it the flavor, give life the flavor, is that living in a state of expectation, but also in a state of, I don't know what's going to happen, as
Right.
to what's going to happen. But I love all the things that you mentioned, because every one of those that you mentioned are tools that people can use to assist in their progress in becoming a better self. The journal, I believe, that causes an internal investigation that, um, when you put the pen to paper, that you're encapsulating that moment, that thought, that energy, that truth. It is forcing you to be truthful, and you can then go back and look at that truth as you begin to get the revelation and look and become a better student. The other thing that you talked about, and I try to tell people, you talk about exercising and weights and the gym and all these things. And I try to explain that these are parts of another way of meditation. Meditation becomes very important when you begin your
Yes.
journey. Sports, you need to meditate. It's a form of cleansing of the thoughts of other things and focusing on the present. You're actually initiating a lot of principles within the
Yes.
sphere of exercising and a walk, washing dishes, vacuuming. These are all spaces that I believe are meditative space based on the type of person that you are. Some people can do the classic meditation.
Yes.
I love that. I don't mind that, sitting there for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That's great for me, but I love basketball. Some people can't stand that, you know.
Right.
So find whatever it is and make it your meditation. That's all it is, because it helps you to become, and um, it helps you to be stronger. It helps you to gain a lot of different perspective. Trust
Yes.
me, exercise and gym and all that stuff will give you a different perspective when you're looking at other aspects of stuff. So I love that you were talking about all of those different tools, self help. You talk about becoming a student of yourself. And
Yes.
this is the journey, is that we become a student of ourselves. We're not perfect. I think I read about one guy that we could quote unquote consider perfect, and we hung him. So I don't want to be that here. I want to grow and experience the growth. And so I
Yes.
love the fact that you're talking about all of this. So now here you're doing all of these things, and you're watching yourself move from space to space. How did you um, choose? I could see how it is from talking to you, but and you move into the space of business and corporate America, as you say. How did
Um,
you, when you got there, and what drove you there? Because I know we all have to pay our bills. Why didn't you? I'm thinking, you have the psychology. You're studying people. Why not become that? Versus going into the business. How did that happen?
well, I did move from Toronto to Los Angeles, and so I had to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So I went into corporate America, and it was great, but to me personally, something was missing.
Yeah.
And being in corporate America, um, everybody's about the bottom line, right?
Hmm.
All they cared about was, and still a lot of them do care about, is wealth, is money, is let me just make my money and do what I need to do. But a lot
Yeah.
of people who were um, in the space of being an executive or a leader, they weren't managing people well around them. They weren't being that great leader. They were just being that boss that was sometimes a tyrant and
Hmm.
sometimes would, you know, give them give the people what they wanted to hear, but not be that great leader that they could be.
Yeah.
And I noticed that they themselves, their confidence wasn't there.
Hmm.
Their limiting beliefs, their negative self talk, everything was over consuming, and they couldn't be that great leader, and they couldn't work with their team and manage their team. And that's why there was a lot of conflict. or a lot of turnover,
Yeah.
or they lost clients, or whatever it may be. So
Always.
yeah, so that's
It's.
when I went back to, okay, wait a minute,
Hmm.
you know, it is all about human behavior,
Yeah.
and it is that mindset, and it is helping yourself with your journey, and taking it to the place where you are able to be a better leader, and taking it one step at a time, one day at a time.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people, they studied whatever their craft is and their genius is, and
Hmm.
they work on that. And so they don't know how or where to begin that journey. And so
Yeah.
that's
That's.
when I was like, all right, this is where I can help you, and I will help you start with that journey.
That is awesome because I know in that space of corporate America, we are not focused that much on the personal development, but the personal development is key. Um, I worked in marketing and I had my sales team and I was in some position and I would always work on the mindset because the
Hmm.
mindset is where it all starts. And if
Yes.
you can control that in the sense of this, um, I read once who says we are godlike in this fashion that we are able to control our thoughts. And as I mentioned, that the thought is where those demons are given birth. They are clothed and they gathered their strength in that space because self-defeating thought, as you mentioned. You fed that thought. We fed that thought for years. And then
Yes.
before we know it, we're standing and this person is talking back to us louder than we are able to hear, and we begin to shrink and shrink and shrink. And so,
Yes.
as we begin to learn to talk back to those thoughts and gain the control that we lost, even in the sphere of corporate America, I believe it's necessary even more so there because people spend most of their time there. And
Yes.
so if you have people that are student of themselves, bosses, employees, that workspace would be much more harmonious. And I
Yes.
guarantee you the outcome would be that much better because once it is a harmonious space, the focus is not on me, I. The focus is different and so the
Right.
accomplishment will be even more so. So, um, tell me about how then you start because you have the key. You're seeing the personal development side and the need. You're seeing this need in the corporate America side. Because
Yes.
how did you now begin to marry this need within the insights that you had received?
It is definitely a hard sell. Let's just be realistic, because not a lot of people can see that marriage.
Yeah,
They,
that's
they
sad.
they don't see that. They don't see that they can become a better leader. They don't see that they could, that that harmony could be there. That
Hmm.
if you do work on yourself and your personal development, then you would do your day to day work better.
Yep.
And you're around those people all the time, as you said, more
Hmm.
than you're at
Your
home,
family,
or
yeah.
more than you're with your family or when you're at home, that it needs to be harmonious. You need to have this amazing environment and everybody working together. And the more confident you are, the better you work with your team, the more you can
Yeah.
scale your business.
Hmm.
Right? Everybody works better, they're more productive, your business will scale. So it is something that I give a lot of value to a lot of them. I work with a lot of them to help build rapport, help build trust, for them to trust me, and then take it to that level for them to work on their personal development. Because I'm not the one who's going to turn around and say, well, if you do this, you're going to make this much more money a month. I can't
Yeah,
guarantee that.
yeah.
It is, I'm working on you and
Hmm.
your journey on a personal level. So it
Yeah.
is a lot of trust and value and a lot of rapport that goes into it.
Yeah, I know because I spent quite a lot of time with salespeople, and a lot of salespeople will do the mirroring of speaking to themselves. And those men and women, I think they have some of them that I've met had an insight as to that. And some of them did that because they were told that that's how you do it to
Right.
get to where you need to get to. And you could see the difference, the ones that are doing it because they understand, and
Yes.
the ones that are doing it that don't understand, but just heard that this is what the other guy, the top salesperson, is doing, and so they
Right.
want to do it, and didn't understand that it's a belief system that
Yes.
that person is the reason why he or she is in front of that mirror is to adjust their belief system. They believe in the what they are saying, and as they believe in what they are saying, they become that
Yes.
versus the type of person that's sitting there yelling, you know, all day long and is still suffering because they lack the understanding of what that person is doing. I'm sure you've come across some of those. Talk to me as to some. How do you try to adjust that mindset, as you mentioned, that houses the prior behavior as far as just speaking it and not really believing
I did see that a lot, absolutely.
it?
When it comes to within corporate America and all, and I still see that a lot.
A lot.
And it is, and the thing is that it absolutely has to come from within. A lot of that has to come from within. For and everybody's journey is different.
Hmm.
So the first few things that I do talk to them about is what are their fears or what are their limiting beliefs, what is their negative self talk, and help guide them through that. I do give them tools such as journaling or such as a form of meditation. Let it be art, let it be writing, let
Yeah.
it be um, even if it is taking a walk
Yeah.
during their lunch break and just to be like out there and like clear their mind for a little
Hmm.
bit. It does take time. It does, and this is why I work with them on a weekly basis. And I do have a lot of ebooks and articles for them to look at and read and everything and help them with doing some research for that personal development
Yeah.
and guide them to different podcasts and things like that. And some people may seek guidance through church or any other support group that they may be able to seek that guidance. But there is something, I guess, deep down as to why um, they are not, or they have these limiting beliefs, or why they have these fears, or why they're not having that confidence.
Yeah.
Like you can, you know, talk the talk all you want. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You can pretend, you can have this wall all you want, but there's something as to why you're not fully there. So it's really how having them, relate to, or us to relate to each other,
Hmm.
trust each other, um, and try and find that one thing and or a few things it could be as to where that is. And once that negative self-talk goes away, those limiting beliefs go away, they'll start understanding
Yeah.
where that
Absolutely.
progress is
Yeah.
and how it's progression on a daily basis and how it's not just cognitive thinking like, oh, let me think positive and everything
Yeah.
in the world is positive, right? It's not that. There is action behind it.
Yes.
So and a lot of people, even though people think that they can compartmentalize things in their life, everything is intertwined.
It always is.
It always is.
Always is.
So even though if you don't have, if something's up in your home life and you're taking it into work, or, something's, financially, but you're taking it into work and you think you could separate everything, you can't. So it's trying to figure out what is causing it,
Hmm.
taking action to manage it or correct it, and
Yeah.
then be open to receive and
Yeah.
have that personal development and take you to that next level.
Yeah, I know a lot of corporations kind of start figuring out some of this stuff, and that's why they take these teams to all these character building and team building
Right,
retreats and stuff like that, and getting a chance to spend some brief time just kind of correcting the mind state there. They'll put them into stressful situations where you
right.
have to work together as a team, where your mind and your perspective begin to be challenged. And I think it's hurtful for, and maybe it contributes to some type of burnout as well in the corporate America sphere. And I believe because they haven't understood this aspect of the human development within the space of work, that they're losing a lot of money, I think, as a result of it. And it's very important that you do marry those two, and that
Yes,
the company understands that the benefit that they will get from a better, more developed employee is priceless compared to that. If you don't, you lose sick time, you lose all the other stuff that they don't recognize as a part of that whole space. And so it's really nice to hear, because I know I was in that corporate America space, and I know that it was important for me as a supervisor to encourage and build up my team's mentality and all the different aspects. So here
yes,
you are now doing all of this stuff. You're beginning to, you saw the connection between the two entities, and you are now turning around and trying to get corporations and people to understand all of this um, need that is
yes,
there for them. So, how, because I know some of the people that are listening to this, you guys are business owners and so forth. um, you need to get in touch with Garin about this, because it's the mindset. She had something in her little presentation that she have online. It talks about the belief system. The principle is this: all things uh, are possible to the believing man. Whatever you believe is absolutely possible. We walked on the moon, guys. You know, we are working on getting to the stars. We are talking on computers. We're guys. People believe this. They believe in a chair. They build a chair, and all things are possible. So you need to work on your belief system and the affirmation. All of these things.
yes.
Um, uh, Pull out stuff that relates to you. Start it with I am. Sometimes just start it there and just stopped at it. Because I do that. I am. And I had a friend of mine. He said, when you get up in the morning, people start their day like this. I'm so tired.
Right away, right?
I am. I so they own it from the time they
Yes,
step out of bed, and so the affirmation and all of these things become important. But you have to attach
absolutely.
your belief system to it, and faith without works is dead. So, and that's why when they stand in front of that mirror and they rehearse it, it has no power, because they don't really believe it. And as you said, you have to dig deep, find out,
Yes,
why don't you believe that?
right.
And so it's great that you're there leading them to that question as to, why don't you believe that you deserve. Some people, they don't believe that they deserve it. Some people are afraid of success.
Yes,
There's so much stuff that is hidden under them, and it takes someone like yourself to guide them to bring them out. And I love the fact, because I was looking at all the pamphlets and all the different things that you have to guide them, because that's all she can do, guys, guide you, but the work is yours. So I am
yes.
so honored that you were here. You stopped by. I told her that I
Thank
would torture her for,
I
for
welcome it though. Thank you for having me. This was great.
I love how you married the two.
Yes,
Um, the corporate America mindset and the individual, the two that needs to be. And all of the companies out there, the small companies, I want you guys to get in touch with Garin because she has a product that can help you to become the best that you can be within the space of the individual as well as your business sphere, marrying them and producing superior outcome. And so I want to thank her for coming to Threads of Enlightenment, giving
Thank
us
you.
all this wisdom and encouragement. And I steer all you guys to her because it's her responsibility to help you go to the next space and get bigger and
Yes.
better. And so I want you guys to get in touch with her and do everything that she says. Follow her.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great.
Wasn't that bad? Thank you so much for coming
Thank
by
you.
Threads of Enlightenment.
Thank you. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
It's great for me to, even though I am a coach and help other people, it is great for me to look introspectively all the time and for me to see where I'm coming from in my journey. Right. So it's wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening to this podcast, we hope to continually help you to learn how to embrace moments of darkness because it is in the darkness that we learn how to develop and use our abilities to truly see those parts of ourselves, often invisible to us, in the light. It becomes your responsibility to navigate through all of your trials to find out who you truly are and begin your journey to loving yourself, which is possibly one of the most difficult things you will ever do in your life. To love yourself and to find the real you, but always remember to enjoy the journey. Thank you for coming by. Please subscribe, and if you can support us financially, we deeply appreciate it.